What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Williams, with my colleague,
Victor Castro.
and we're just two dudes who do real estate for a living. And today we're going to do a little something different. Now, recently, if you've been watching or listening to our podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms and on YouTube, so make sure if you see it, you subscribe. If you listen to it and you enjoy it, subscribe. A lot of good information. But recently, we've been interviewing certain guests. And today we thought to ourselves, like, we've never interviewed each other. You guys might just see us as the host and like know a little bit about us or know absolutely nothing about us. So the next two episodes, what we're going to do is today I am going to be interviewing I'm going to be interviewing Victor Castro, and on the next episode, he will be interviewing me. So you're going to get a little bit of the insight about who makes up MVP Real Estate, where we came from before we were real estate agents, what are we doing now, a little bit about our personal side, and then what the future has in store for each of us. Sound good, Victor?
Sounds perfect.
All right, man. Well, we're going to start off, one of our previous guests, we had Justin Johnson with House Masters, and he said, and I quote, it couldn't be easier to be a business owner in today's day and age because of AI. And it's really true, because I said, hey, let's do a format where it's like a 10 to 20 question format to ask each other questions to let our audience who's listening know a little bit about each other. Instead of spending all day and night doing that, I put in some demands into the AI I use, and I use this is not a plug, but I use Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI. I use his AI. I literally put it in there, and boom, we got questions. So we're gonna ask you those questions.
Cool.
All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna start off a little bit more about your personal background, Victor. And question number one is, can you tell us about yourself? Where did you grow up, and what shaped who you are today?
Great question. Yeah. So a little bit about me. I came to the United States as a newborn almost. I was a year old. I was born in Mexico, Guadalajara, Jalisco, which is I would say West Coast state in the Bajío region of Mexico, which is in the central part of Mexico. And my parents both from the same town, El Arenal, Jalisco, which is an area where a lot of tequila is produced. You have all these orchards of agave on the side of the roads. That's where they're originally from. And I was born in Guadalajara, which happens to be about half hour away from El Arenal. So yeah, they migrated here to the States, um, and pretty much was just a dream, that the American dream, be able to catapult, uh, your family's, economics, or how do you want to say it?
Economic
Economically,
well-being.
everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Just yeah. So
Land of opportunity.
right? So came here.
Some will say different now.
Right.
But it's funny because those that say different have the opportunity to say different. But I digress. Go ahead.
No, it's
bro.
all good, man. No, this is a conversation as well. So, yeah, feel free to add on any more, or pause me in between. So, yeah, man. They came. I think they originally arrived in Oxnard, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Yeah, so that's over kind of by Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they had family members or relatives from El Arenal.
Okay.
So that's where we originally.
A lot of agriculture
Yeah.
in Oxnard area.
Yeah, we were there. I think my mom actually was like picking strawberries and stuff
Okay,
like that
yeah.
out there. And then they, after a short while, they moved up north to San Jose because they had other relatives from El Arenal.
Got you.
And there was just maybe more opportunity up here than in Oxnard at the
Yeah.
moment. So we, made the move to San Jose. Was just, renting a room with a couple of relatives there for about 2 years. before we decided to move in into our own place. And my mom was actually doing a lot of daycare.
Okay.
She was a nanny, taking care of like 12 kids at one time.
Yeah.
My dad was in landscaping during that time. So I think that, shaped me to be, I think that part of the question is that kind of shaped me to be who
Yeah.
I am because I saw all the struggle and all that that they had to go through to be able to make it.
And this is what, early 90s?
Early 90s. Yes, I
Okay.
was born in 1988, December 1988. So for all you Sagittarius, yeah. And then yeah, so then 2 years after that, we migrated to Concord, California
Okay.
and started renting our own apartment. My dad at the moment was still in landscaping. My mom was actually doing a variety of things. I honestly, my mom was a breadwinner
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
during that time, and then yeah, man, I started going to school, elementary, and by then I already knew some English. I was never allowed to speak any English at home. It
Got
was
you.
strictly Spanish, so that's why I kept my Spanish, and then my parents knew I was going to learn English in school, so it was very strict.
Nice. I mean, that helped you out.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't speak 2 languages, so, I mean, it's definitely got some benefits to being bilingual, especially in California,
yeah.
where, there's a large, Spanish speaking, I mean, the majority, right, of it's like, California, the majority
It's Spanish speaking. Yeah,
is
yeah.
Latin
Now it
descent
is
Latin
Latin
descent, right?
descent. Yeah,
That's one thing I think people get confused because 'cause you're from Guadalajara, but there's a lot of especially here in the Bay Area, like, if you speak Spanish doesn't mean you're just from Mexico. Like, we have that's why I say, like, Spanish speaking, Latin descent, there's so many different cultures. Um, but that being said, being able to speak the second language, you can talk to you can talk to
everyone
everybody for the most part.
for the most part.
Nice, man. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about, where'd you come from and kind of bringing you to Concord, and so you've been in Concord. I know you live in Pittsburgh right now,
Currently, yes.
but when did you get to Concord? Like,
I
what
was I
age?
was just I was just about to turn 5, so just barely about to go into kindergarten.
So you've been in this area for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say you're an expert in this area.
For the most part, my whole life in the Bay Area. Yeah, San Jose, South Bay, East Bay. Yeah, so you can say that.
Yeah, so what's a personal passion or experience outside of real estate that you would say influences how you approach your work?
A passion outside of real estate that influence. Well, honestly, I mean, everything is a learning experience, man. Besides going through the educational system here in the states, I was able to start working at a very young age. I was kind of during that time when I was in high school, I was kind of forced to help my dad to to make ends meet
Yeah,
to yeah ends meet to pay the bills.
yeah.
Like he used to work in cleaning some dealerships, actually Toyota, Nissan here in Concord
Okay,
as a janitor, and I
got you.
used to go help him and in after school help him. Um, and get the job done. So just all those things like help me catapult and kind of you just know that without any sacrifice, there's nothing really,
Got
right?
you.
You got to have to work to get what you want in life. And so I did janitor as a 17, 16-year old. I was also a musician at that time.
Yeah.
Been a musician since I was 5 years old, by the way. uh, Kind of learned how to play the drums on my own.
Okay.
And then by the time I was 15, bought my own set with some money I kind of saved up on the side by, mind you, refing some adult soccer leagues.
Okay. So
I was a ref
you're
as a 15-year-old.
okay.
I was refing adults, and it
Okay.
was paying me.
Yeah.
It was paying me some pretty good money, so I was able to save up enough to buy my own set at 15, and then I used that to start playing music for money as well.
Wait, you're self-taught?
I'm self-taught.
Never took any lessons.
Never took any lessons. It's all ear.
Okay, so like I mean that's interesting. I've heard of that before. There's a lot of people that just get on a piano and start playing. So as someone that is not musically inclined like that, uh how'd you know? Like one day you're just like, hey, I want to play drums. I mean, like how did you think like, okay, I know I can do this? And then when you first sat, you might not remember you played so many times, but maybe like if you can, the first time you sat in front of a drum set, like how'd you know like what to do?
You know, it's funny. We would go to party, family events, uh, and my passion and I guess my whole vision was on the drummer the entire time.
Okay.
Like if there was a band playing at a gig, my focus was on the drummer.
Okay.
And some way somehow I picked up on what they were doing. I was just listening and seeing for my own eyes, and I kind of just mimicked,
Got
so to
you.
speak, what he was doing to get the sound that he wanted.
Got you.
I don't know, I always had that talent visually since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I've always been a fast learner in anything, but I mean, this is kind of just one of the things that kind of, proves it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man, I just, I was naturally good at it. So what I would do is I would go back home, I would set up not even a drum set at the time before I had my drum set, which my parents later got a little drum set for me. I would set up like this table, like whatever I can make sound come out of, I
Okay.
would set it up, um, and then I would just practice, like as if I was playing a real drum.
With like drumsticks?
At the
Whatever.
at the time, it was pencils,
Okay.
and then I got my first drumsticks, and then I got a practice pad, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just taught myself really.
That's dope,
Yeah,
dude. I've always wondered that. Like I've seen I know, you see people like, "Oh, I just got on there and started playing." I just always wonder like, okay, if you've never you can you just get in front of something, I mean, which is basically you've done. So you had some type of observation of what was going on and stuff
yeah,
and kind of just put two and two together. That's
yeah,
dope. I've
yeah.
always wondered that. Maybe I should start staring at like some type of musician that I want to be.
Yeah, I know, it was,
Too bad that doesn't work with learning a new language, bro. Just staring at people because I've been doing that for most of my life. I still don't know a second language.
That's a little different there.
So cool, man. So a little bit. So hard work. So what I'm getting at is uh, fair to say that you grew up in a working family that kind of instilled in you that you got to work hard to get what you want to get,
That is
right?
correct, yeah.
And if you don't have that drive, then don't expect like
Yeah,
results.
exactly, exactly. What you get in life is gonna come from the work that you put in, 100%. And so
Yeah, man. I mean, I wish I that's just a different I guess it's a generational thing we're starting to to figure out. Hey, and like look, nothing against that. I know some Gen Zers that, are hard workers and stuff too. A lot of great talent out there, but you know, I think that mindset. I feel it's because, you know, the generation your parents came from, one coming from a different country, coming to America, the land of opportunity, knowing that they're on borrowed time, so to speak, and they have like one shot to make it happen, right? And then to not for take that lightly and work hard and do everything they can to give you and your
a
sister
better life.
a better life, and
Yeah,
that kind of just passed down.
yeah.
And I feel that that's a little bit lost nowadays with some of this younger generation because maybe their parents are you right
Second
they're this
generation,
yeah, they're
third
like generation
generation.
3rd, 4th, where their grandparents were the ones that did it. Their parents saw the struggle of their parents, and when they had kids, kinda said, "Hey, don't worry about that, like, we're good now." Type you know what I'm saying? Like,
They're well, not obviously, yes, like you said,
more
not
spoiled.
yeah, not everyone has the same
Yeah.
like the same path, but yes, I get what you're saying is like they're coming into a family that's already made their wealth,
Yes.
perhaps.
Or been through the struggle,
Yes.
and you're on generation 3 where and not saying that people don't struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you live in California, I don't care unless you're crazy. Even rich people struggle,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, the struggle is real in this
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is it's like, you know, they're born in America, right? Some of them don't even speak Spanish anymore,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's lost,
It's
right? Like that cultural piece, there's a little bit left, but that cultural, and rightfully so, they're American.
it gets
Yeah. It's
diluted.
getting diluted as you go on, and I feel like that dilution kinda goes towards, like, the drive, I
Yeah.
feel like everyone just there's a lot of people out there now that just want everything handed to them,
100%, I agree with
right?
you.
And it's frustrating to someone like yourself and someone like me that grew up, it's like, "Wait."
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
work for it.
Yeah, everything's just not handed to you. And speaking of being handed to you, what's so now, we got a little background about Victor, upbringing, where he's come from. What inspired you to pursue a career in real estate, and how did you get started?
Yeah, I did it's funny because I did imagine myself, "Hey, like, what is it to sell a home?" I remember having these thoughts when I was, like, 21, 22. At the time, I was, like, I think I was doing painting. Like, I was doing residential painting
Okay.
with my dad,
Okay.
by the way, mind you. And I was doing music on the side on the weekends. And, painting homes obviously brought that thought to me. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you get your license? What actually goes behind the scenes for an agent to actually be able to put a home on the market or help a buyer buy it?
Yeah.
So I did have those thoughts, but I never really explored or saw myself like doing it until I bought my home.
Okay.
Until I bought my home. So I saw that it's not that difficult. I saw that yes, I did my own research to be able to purchase a home, and I noticed that you need to have good credit, you need to have some savings and stuff like that. But once I went through the actual process and figured out, hey, like this is absolutely obtainable. My friends can do this, my family can do this. I kind of figured, why not help my family members and friends that aren't homeowners?
Yeah.
Like they're renting like just how we were renting for many, many years, and they're throwing away their money. That's how I looked at it. And I was like, I'm gonna get into real estate.
Nice.
So, got my license. Took me about 6 months during COVID or to get it, and then the rest is history, man. I've been, nonstop ever
Yeah.
since.
What year are you going into now?
Going into year 6. This is my 5th year. Going into year
Damn, dude.
6.
It's literally been that long?
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
And, yes, I've like, don't get me wrong, real estate is a very difficult industry. I have had second thoughts like, am I doing the right thing? But at the end of the day, once you overcome those hurdles and you're like, this is just part of the process, you kind of just accept it for what it is. And, like now it's like, I'm not looking back.
Nice.
I'm not, my focus is to keep selling homes, helping family buy homes and sell homes.
And that actually you kinda touched on it. I'm gonna have you dive in a little bit deeper. Can you share a major challenge you faced in the industry and how you overcame it?
Uh, I mean, if I had to pinpoint,
Yeah, we have a lot of
I
challenges.
mean,
So if you had to pinpoint, what do you think, today, maybe one instance or something about the industry that is seems to be a reoccurring challenge?
you know, I think building your business, obviously you could be an agent, but one thing is having your license. The other thing is actually building your reputation and building that business so that you continue to have business. I think that's been the biggest challenge for me is making my business stand out amongst my peers, my social media, you name it. Everyone that knows I'm a real estate agent, I want them to know I'm a good real estate agent.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest, I think, hurdle because we speak about it all the time. The industry is so diluted now. And you just got to say it how it is. Agents are out there just collecting paychecks and not looking to actually take care of, uh, you know, their clients. They're just transactional nowadays, and I think that hurts the industry because it takes away from every other agent that is it in it for with good intentions. I would say.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Nice, man.
So I think that's the biggest hurdle.
Nice. So, what's your specialty in real estate?
My specialty,
Yeah.
man, everything.
Okay.
I don't see a fault in my process. I think our process can obviously get better. My process personally can get way better, but I think
What do you think is one specific thing you think that you shine at? And it's okay to like you're not here like you obviously have confidence in what you do and that's good, right? You should. You're a professional, right? So if I was to ask Steph Curry what's one thing he thinks he specializes in, he's going to say shooting the ball,
right,
right? He's the best shooter ever.
and
And
and he still wants to get better at it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
my thing is
exactly.
it's not being cocky or conceited. It's just
Yeah,
it's a fact. So what do you think is one thing you do great or you feel you do better than a lot of
I
people?
mean, just giving exceptional service. That's, and
Mhm.
what does that mean? It means going going the extra mile to make sure that the clients, are situated, uh, not just giving them their keys and making like never speaking to them, making sure you have that communication with them after you give them the keys, making sure that if something comes up, you're there to answer their questions, phone calls, texts, emails, for the rest of their lives because I'm in it for a lifetime, man. I'm not just like I mentioned earlier, I'm not in it just to, you know, do one deal and then just forget it and never
Yeah.
speak to them again. So it's just I think, you know, setting up that communication, that um that relationship with the client is something that I do exceptionally well.
Nice, man. I totally agree. I vouch for Victor Castro on that. This guy goes above and beyond. Some may say to a fault, but hey, if that's what he's all about, then you can't knock him for always delivering on his promise. Now, being that we're on a podcast now, we got cameras in front of us, we got digital microphones, you have a big social media following for the most part. We've talked about this in previous podcasts, but how has technology like virtual tours or certain tools changed the way you do your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So AI, power of AI. If there's anything that is fuzzy, I don't recall, or there's something that I just don't know, AI is a great tool to make sure that I get the answer I need to then, relate that information to my client. So whether it's, you know, what what year was the city of Concord founded in? What
Mhm.
so on and so forth. All these random questions are important sometimes to the client. So there's we all have information that we need to seek, and AI is a great tool to be able to find that information. Um, what is another one I would say? Um, yeah, man, I can't really pinpoint another one, but there's just so much tools now at the grasp of our hands that our clients are in a really good position. Real brokerage does a really good job of that too, providing the tools like AI and stuff like that
Mhm.
as well. Um, because if we're successful, our clients are successful. So Real's a great brokerage. So any agents out there listening, come talk to
Yeah,
us.
Victor straight recruiting on the podcast. But yeah, no, hit us up. So I'm gonna piggyback on that question. You just said, hey, if I have a question, a client has a question or wants to know some facts about the city or something, I can pull it up on AI. What's preventing the client from pulling it up on AI? And do you think companies like Zillow and Redfin that have this big push towards streamlining everything electronically, do you think that's going to be disruptive to our industry? Or do you think there'll always
That's
be
a
a niche
that's
for a real
no,
estate
no,
agent?
no. There is always going to be a need for a real estate agent. This is a client-based industry where a relationship-based industry, okay? AI, you're not going to build a relationship with AI. You can pull
Not
it
yet.
you can pull it up to answer questions and stuff like that, but I think the client is more, it needs that confirmation that they're working with the expert because you are
Okay.
the expert, right? So, uh, if the client needs something, what better to reach out via text, phone call, and ask you, versus a tool like AI, because at the end of the day, you're being hired for a reason. So you're the one that needs to know the information, not the client. Reach out
Yeah.
to AI.
No, I 100% agree. And I kind of use the analogy of like, would you trust a robot to deliver your baby? Not yet. Probably not yet, right? Like,
I don't
I don't
think
think we're there yet.
I don't think it will ever happen. Like,
And that's what I'm getting. Like, the purchase of a home and real estate and how expensive it is, and this I mean, think about it. If the average American male lives to be 75 years old and a mortgage is 30 years, that's almost 50%. You're committing to something that is going to take 35 to 40% of your lifespan to pay off. Like, you probably want to trust who is working with you. And not to say we don't trust computers, but to your point, there's no like connection,
there's no
right? There's
connection at
no
all.
emotional
Yeah.
and spiritual or physical, like, like that connection where a computer's just going to give you the yes or no
You gotta like
binary
you
answer.
gotta like the person that, I mean, it's like when you're dating, right? It's like you're not gonna date someone that you don't like, that you don't think is pretty, or you don't think is cute, or you don't think is funny. Whatever you may like, you're not gonna date someone that's opposite to that, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing when you're hiring an agent. It's like, is AI going to smile through the screen? Is AI going to joke around with you as they explain something to you? Because we all have personality. AI, it might develop personality, but it will never come close to what a human can offer
At
face
least
to
at
face.
least in our
Yeah,
lifetime. Yeah, we're far from that. Let's hope we're far from that. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. We're
Yeah, true.
gonna have people marrying robots and stuff.
Yeah, but like I'm firm believer, bro. Like honestly, like even if it does get to that point, it's not gonna compare. Like a robot having a really, like, you might be, I don't know, might be that one person that might have throw feelings through, but like let's just be real. Like,
Yeah.
uh, human to human interaction, nothing comes close to that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Great answer, man. What's the best piece of advice you can give to someone starting out in real estate?
Um, Great question. I kind of learned that the hard way. Um, Surround yourself with individuals that have the same outlook as you, and the same drive, the same passion. Make sure you really interview who you're going to associate yourself with before you just blindly trust them in this industry, because this industry is cutthroat. Um, there's a lot of money involved. Sometimes, people could do things for right reasons, but then you do have some people that might do it for the wrong reasons. So you want to make sure that if your reputation is important to you, that you associate yourself with people that uh, are not gonna give you the wrong reputation.
Yep. Amen to that. All right, man. Cool. Now let's talk a little bit. Let's wrap this up a little bit. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about like your future outlook.
Yeah.
Where do you see the real estate market heading in the next 5 to 10 years, and how are you personally preparing?
Yeah, well, honestly, man, it's hard to say. We don't have a crystal ball to tell where the industry is going. I feel like it's going to be the same as it's always been. You know, People still need a place to live. Um, yes, it's challenging with the way, the economy and uncertainty, things happening around the world. But at the end of the day, people still need a place to live. So there will always be a need to sell and buy real estate, and people will all ultimately see the value of buying real estate, because who wants to throw away their money renting for their entire life, right? So just for me, it's just continue to educate and adapt to, uh, what the industry brings us, and keep on educating people to make the right decision.
Nice, man. What are your career goals moving forward, and what legacy do you hope to leave in the industry?
I want you to remember me for being a good person. That's it. Regardless if I'm in the industry, if I'm a realtor, if I'm go back to drumming for the rest of my life, whatever I do, I just want to be known as, you know, oh, that was a he was a good guy.
Nice.
That's it.
How about for your career? Like what so obviously you mentioned earlier that you're here to do real estate. Like that's what you want to do moving forward. What what are some goals you have for your career in real estate?
Some goals that I have for my
Mhm.
well, who doesn't want to 10x their business, right?
Yeah.
I want to take my business to the next level. I want to be able to in the next year be able to double my business. If I was able to close 15 deals one year, now I want to close 30, and I want to continue doing that. Just growing my business and helping more families get into home ownership. I think that's my ultimate goal.
Nice, man. And how what are you putting in place right now that is going to help you do that, you think?
Well, I mean, for number one, working with a like-minded individual like yourself, which has the drive and the passion, and also sees the reputation as very important.
Mhm.
So that's number one. That's going to help me. Together, I think we're going to be able to take MVP real estate to levels that a lot of people here in the Bay Area haven't seen. That's the goal, right? We want to be known as the go-to real estate team company um, in the Bay Area. So that number one is the support, your support, and the support of our team. We have a great lender that we work with right now, and Cindy Castro with Supreme Lending. Shout out to her. We have a great transaction coordinator, which is my wife. She is the backbone of all the documents and making sure that our timelines are hit. Um, and as we continue to grow, obviously we'll maybe bring on some agents that have the same passion and drive as well.
Mhm.
So I think just continuing to do what we do, man, and grabbing the bull by the horns and just doing what we do, man.
Nice, 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 nice. All great answers. Definitely appreciate the kind words, Victor. And that's the 10. That was the 10 question interview for Victor Castro, co-owner, awesome co-owner of MVP Real Estate, awesome, awesome real estate agent, bilingual, Spanish and English, number 1 in customer service in the Bay Area. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, dude's customer service is off the hook. And I know you kind of semi-retired from doing the drums with
Yeah,
with the banda band, but
yeah.
drummer in specializing in a banda genre of music. But I hope you guys had a good time listening about Victor Castro, find out a little bit more about what makes MVP real estate tick. Like I said, we are just two dudes who do real estate for a living. And Victor, thanks for sharing all those personal information, your story, your drive, what gets you out of bed every day. And with that, Victor, I look forward to
To
winning
winning
with
with
you.
you.